welcome back to the Pink Moose Film Lodge podcast. We are in season 2, episode 1. Stay tuned because there's going to be a lot of great things this season. We've totally done a restructure. That being said, let's jump into the new segment. Each episode, we're going to start with the box office reportings from the previous weekend. Episodes will be dropped on Mondays, so you'll be right up to date with what was coming in first, second, third, fourth, and so on. That being said, let's start with first one this week. Dogman, the Dave Pilkey classic from Universal, grossed $13.7 million over the weekend. Now, this is its second weekend in theaters, and it's still coming out on number 1. That's still a 62% drop compared to its opening last weekend, which was coming in a surprising $36 million. But, you know, people love Captain Underpants and Dave Pilkey, so more power to him. Number 2, from Christopher Landon and Michael Kennedy, who were the writers of Freaky, starring Vince Vaughn, comes Sony Pictures' Hard Eyes, a dark comedy, horror, I guess, right in time for Valentine's Day. For the past several years, the Hard Eyes killer has wreaked havoc on Valentine's Day by stalking and murdering romantic couples. This Valentine's Day, no couple is safe. That's a great tagline. That took in at $8.5 million for its debut open. That's coming in pretty strong for a horror movie, I feel like. We don't always get the love, especially a Valentine's horror movie, but I would say, you know, love and fear are the same emotion. Number 3 comes in Love Hurts. Now, this is with former child actor Kei Hu Koran, who was, you know, in Goonies and Indiana Jones. And this was directed by Jonathan Esibio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, unfortunately. I actually don't know if I'm pronouncing Short Round's name right, unfortunately. I'm sorry to both of you. But Jonathan is the stunt coordinator for films like John Wick and Black Panther. This was also a Universal picture, and this pulled in $5.8 million. And then fourth place, not last place. Fourth place comes Mufasa, the Lion King, which tells the origin story of Mufasa as a cub, lost and alone. He meets a sympathetic lion named Taka, the heir to a royal bloodline. The chance meeting sets in motion an expansive journey of group of misfits searching for their destiny. I watched this one. This is the only one that I've seen, and I actually enjoyed it. There was a little bit of tackiness to it, but all in all, I liked it. Now, this is in its 8th weekend, and it pulled in $3.9 million, generating a total gross of $235 million. It looks to me like Disney's going to be making some more live-action Lion King movies. But there you have it. That's going to be the kind of going forward, the opening of the podcast. Now, without further ado, let's get into episode 1, season 2 of the Pink Moose Film Lodge. Hello and welcome back to the Pink Moose podcast. My name is Josh. Let's go around.
I'm Tim. Trevor.
Season 2, baby! Hey. We made it through a season, and we have some updates. Obviously, as you can tell, we've kind of put our studio together a little bit better now. So classic movie posters, the bookcase, showcasing what we like, you know, what we love. That being said, going forward, it's going to go podcast every week for season 2. I think we have 20 of them planned at the moment, and it's going to be split down 10 and 10. Today is going to be a deep dive. Today we're going to do a deep dive on a genre of movie that we don't know what to name.
Yeah, I don't know what to call it.
I don't know what to call it either, but
it's a distinct genre.
Yeah. But it is a distinct genre.
And you know if it fits, but you don't know what the criteria is.
We've only found about 6 movies, I think, that fit into this genre, but
they are quickly climbing to the top ranks of my favorite movies.
Yes, they are.
I'm thoroughly enjoying
They
this.
always move.
Yeah. I don't know what to call it. We'll find a name for it.
We'll get a little bit more into that in a minute.
And then every other week, we're going to do a similar concept, but we're going to have a guest on, and we're going to talk to them about, you know, why they became an artist and why they do what they do. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Should we start by figuring out what we should name this genre?
I think we'll figure out along the way.
Yeah. So a quick little history on how we came up with kind of finding these movies. A couple years ago, Josh and I kind of got bored of watching the same movie over and over again because we watch movies every night, and
we're obsessed with Stephen King.
Yes, we are also obsessed with Stephen King.
Sure, anyone who watched season 1 will know.
Well, I don't think you can see the books up there. I think it's cut off, but the entire top of this bookshelf is Stephen King. We don't even have all of them.
No, but we are on a constant hunt for that.
Yeah. So if you have books, mail them to us.
Yeah, send them over.
It's not Insomnia. We already got 4 copies.
We don't need it. It's also the toughest read.
But so I believe Josh told me, he said, hey, we should watch Dreamcatcher, which is a movie. I don't know what the exact genre would be for that because there is at least 4.
There's at least 4 genres built in.
And pretty much at the end of the movie, we were like, wow, that was so bad. It was good. Come to find out that the book was actually written after Stephen King had gotten in a car accident and was looped up on drugs.
Yeah.
And so he just started writing whenever he could.
This was kind of his swing back into the game.
Right.
So, had been maybe, Stephen King is pretty consistent with his output where he does at least a novel a year without, not to mention, short story compilations or books and so on and so forth, or novellas, but this was kind of a break because of the accident. So he was just getting back into it and hopped up on morphine, I think. I'm sure.
Probably.
Something. Upon other things.
Yeah, upon other things. And
I believe this is during his cocaine days as well.
Oh man,
yeah,
I think it might have been right after.
I think it was post
because this was early 2000s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think it was over by then.
Yeah, it was over by then. But that being said, I think that Dreamcatcher is the perfect way to start our introduction into this genre and hopefully turn you on to this genre. Mm-hmm. And we'll go through all 6 movies that we found that fit into this category and recommend them at the highest regard.
Yes.
So let's start with Dreamcatcher. Now, I've seen Dreamcatcher. I know, Tim. Trevor, have you ever seen Dreamcatcher?
No.
Oh, my goodness. All right, well, actually.
I thought that we made Trev watch it.
I don't think we did. We made him watch In the Mouth of Madness.
It was me, you, and Nate, correct?
We made Nate watch it. We watched it. So when we first watched Dreamcatcher, we were like, what the hell is this? Wild. And kind of fell in love with it and then just started making a bunch of people watch it,
I think we made all of our roommates separately watch it.
I think we did make all of our roommates separately watch it.
I bought it and made Max watch it as well.
I
actually am going to look up.
Have you seen it now?
I've seen it quite a bit now, Trev.
Yeah, I'm going to look
up. But Trev, it gets crazier every time you watch it. Man, dude. But it stars
Jason Lee.
Jason Lee.
Timothy Olyphant.
Timothy Olyphant's the main character in it.
So
that's gonna kill me.
Morgan Freeman, Donnie Wahlberg, Damian Lewis.
What's Hung's name?
Oh, and Thomas Jane. Thomas Jane. He plays Henry. Yeah, and I mean it's weird because it hits all of the same notes that a regular Stephen King would, but it like blows them way out of proportion. It's almost like a caricature of a Stephen King.
It 100% is. It kind of feels like if it turned into I don't even know.
Well, it's essentially. I'm going to read the synopsis right now. But it's essentially if Alien. If Stephen King, it's essentially Stephen King's take on the Alien series, but instead of the alien popping out of your chest, you shit the alien out.
All right.
So it's 4 childhood friends, Jonesy, Beaver, Pete, and Henry, all share a special secret. Each year they take a trip into the Maine woods, the state Maine. This year is different. A blizzard occurs, and they recover a man found wandering around. Unbeknownst to them, the wandering individual isn't the only being found. Now they must act fast to stop the outbreak developing to prevent the world from its doom. So it starts off as like this movie where it's like a couple, like 4 friends just kind of like The Hangover. They just like dip out to the cabin in the woods every year, and they're like, let's just go and just have a weekend of just chilling out, drinking, and hanging out in the woods, And it's kind of like their childhood friends, their friends from childhood. And they
Like
do
without a paddle type deal.
Yeah, like without a paddle type deal, 100%. So they get out there and they find this guy in the woods and they're like, it's a hunter. He's a hunter. And they're like, what's going on with this guy? And he's like acting really weird, you know? So they bring him in and he starts like bloating up. And then they find out he goes to the bathroom. And then basically, long story short, he like shits out this worm. And it's like, it blows him up, basically. Yeah, it blows him up, basically. It's just...
It's a hostile worm as well.
It's a parasite. Yeah, it's like a hostile worm.
And they all have the shine, if you know anything about Stephen King.
All 4 of them do.
Where they can kind of like... I think they all have different... Yeah, they all have different kinds. Like Timothy Oliphant can like point...
Yes.
And like figure out where he's going, always find his way. And one of them can like go into his actual... memory and have like a literal library in his head.
In his head. We haven't even brought up Donnie Wahlberg though, because he's the best part of it.
I mean,
so anyways, it just seems like it's a standard alien movie where these 4 guys are in the woods and they run into an alien, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is what this is. Mm-hmm. Come to find out, they flash back to when they were kids, and in Stephen King fashion, you know, he has in Derry in the 60s, and he has his stereotypical bully. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, is racist and sexist and wants to kill everybody with a switchblade. Yeah, wants to kill everyone with a switchblade. Drives a T-bird, you know. Yeah. So that then you kind of learn a little bit more about their past, and they have this friend, and Donnie Wahlberg's character's name is, what is it? Duddits. And he's mentally challenged.
Well, stop. You'd think he's mentally challenged.
Yes, you think he's mentally challenged.
Is it just the name that makes you think that?
Well, no. He goes full retard. Yeah, he does. Never go full retard. No. He does. He does a good enough job to probably be on par with like Arnie, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah.
Or like
that was fully.
I would. That was like it's like he goes there, and you like don't even know it's him. Duddits, you know.
Yeah. And Donnie Wahlberg, I think he decided to shave his eyebrows.
I think he did. What? Yeah, dude, so it's crazy.
You're like, is that Donnie Wahlberg?
Yeah.
And, yeah. I mean, you get an hour into the movie, and you find out that people are crapping out aliens, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And then you're like, oh, wait, they have superpowers, too. Mm-hmm. And then you wait another 45 minutes, and out of nowhere... Morgan Freeman comes in on a chopper.
Yeah, he's not even in it.
He's not even in it for the first hour and a half of the movie.
Yeah.
It's like a 3-hour movie as well, probably, I think, right? 2 hours and 2.5?
2 hours and 14.
14?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, the first half of the movie, Morgan Freeman's not part of.
You have no idea. Because it literally takes like a left turn into like this. All of a sudden, it turns into like Contagion and this like wartime epic now. Yeah. So it's
they're like locking down everything.
And, not to mention some of the characters die along the way. Not to spoil anything, but I don't want to tell you who.
And it's great because going along with the eyebrows, I'm pretty sure that Morgan Freeman decided to dye his eyebrows white.
He did. They're like bushy white.
So they're like bushy white eyebrows, which makes it even funnier.
It does. It's really funny. And he's like one of these characters, like he's not really fleshed out as a character. He's like a general or something like that. Mm-hmm. And he's not really fleshed out as a character, so he's like the most stereotypical general.
It's very funny.
Where he's just like what you would picture a general barking orders.
It's like Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket, yeah. It's just
he's like, give it to me, and takes the chopper, starts shooting him.
All over the place, dude. It also, you know what it does? You know what it turns into? Is it feels like it turns into from like Without a Paddle, like a sci-fi Without a Paddle, to like a Pierce Brosnan James Bond, like a GoldenEye. It feels like this is crazy,
over the top action.
Sounds like Tropic Thunder,
dude. Yeah, like I know it's weird. Yeah, it's crazy.
But the thing about Tropic Thunder was trying to be funny.
Jack Black all dyed up.
I don't think this is trying to be funny. I don't think that Pierce Brosnan's James Bond's trying to be funny either.
He's totally not. But I mean, I would say GoldenEye doesn't really fall under this category. But I would say that it's pretty close because he's like a James Bond who takes himself a little too seriously, and I think that's what these movies do. I think they take themselves a little too serious.
And that's funny about it.
And that's they end up being comical, you know? Where if Twilight takes itself too serious and it's just bad and comical, these are like crazy. I couldn't see around the corner if I tried. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's coming next. You're literally on the edge of your seat the entire time, and it's crazy. Fun. It's so fun. So anyways, we find out that Duddits is he comes in kind of midway through as well, and he's completely mentally challenged.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything for you though.
I don't want to spoil anything either, but
it just gets
just
crazy.
watch
You
it.
just run in the first half of the movie. I could just jump in.
You really, I mean, no, because honestly, we didn't even do a good job of explaining
there's
the
a lot
first
that
half
we
of
missed.
them. We didn't even do a good job of explaining the first half. I would actually recommend. I think at the end of this, we'll rate them all.
Yeah,
but I think I would recommend this one probably a number 1 or number 2.
I would say number 2 just because of the follow-up that we found.
The follow-up was great. So that being said, going into it, I wanted to read some reviews real quick on this one. So this person gave it a 7 out of 10, and their title is 5.5 is way too low. This is a pretty good movie, exciting, nerve-wracking, and enough scary parts to keep you entertained. I don't get the low ratings, honestly. I never read the book, so maybe that favored in. But as a standalone movie from 2003, I thought it was enjoyable. The guy from Homeland sucks, though. Worst actor ever. Which is the guy from Homeland? Is that Thomas James? Henry James? What's his name?
I don't know. I think it's Donnie.
Is it?
No, I think
no.
It might be Timothy Oliphant.
Here, this one, 4 out of 10. Nice start, but then things go terribly wrong. And that's basically what it is. It starts off like your most basic, 2003 movie, and then it's just like...
And then all the drugs kick in.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. That's literally what it feels like. It feels like you're taking drugs. So cannot recommend this movie enough. We'll circle back to it. That being said, going into our second movie, Tim and I were kind of at this point where we're like, what the hell was that? We need more of that. So we scoured IMDb, asked ChatGPT. We were doing anything we could to find movies that were similar enough to
we were
this.
like addicts for it.
Addicts
We were
for
like
it.
scraping for these movies.
Come to find... In the Mouth of Madness.
Classic.
And who does In the Mouth of Madness? Was it Wes Craven or was it...
I think it's a John Carpenter.
John Carpenter?
One of the two.
Which both of those are pretty sure bets for these types of movies.
Oh, no, it was. So it was John Carpenter because... So what this one is about is this one's about a writer whose name is Sutter Kane.
Yes.
And he goes missing. He's about to... He's a horror writer, and he has a string of like paperbacks that are like... He's like the biggest horror writer. He's like a Stephen King. And actually, John Carpenter and Stephen King were friends. So they actually make references to Stephen King. Like, Sutter Kane's a bigger writer than Stephen King.
Yeah.
But Sutter Kane, the reason he wrote this movie was actually as a pun and like a joke towards Stephen King. So again, I think these genre all kind of center around Stephen King in some facet. They do. But anyway, ish, yeah. We do get away from it a little bit. But that being said, so what it is Sutter Kane goes missing right before his big book launch, like the end of his series. And his publicists are like, and his editor are like, where is he? So they hire a private investigator, which is Sam Neill. And actually, I would say Sam Neill is a great center around these as well.
Yes.
The two through lines are Stephen King and Sam Neill. So here, I'm going to read this one. This one's short. With the disappearance of hack horror writer Sutter Kane, all hell is breaking loose, literally. Author Kane, it seems, has a knack for description that really brings this evil, creepy crawlies to life. Insurance investigator John Trent, which is Sam Neill.
He's an actuary too.
So
he's an insurance.
He's an insurance guy because he actually, they don't hire him. Actually, that's what it is. The insurance company thinks that this is a big marketing ploy, and they're going to try and cash in on this. So they're like, we don't know where he's at either, you know? Yeah. And so he's like, I'm gonna have to hunt him down, you know, make sure you guys aren't doing some crazy things and trying to scam us for the money, you know? Yeah. So that right there alone is a crazy concept to begin with, you know? So anyways, so Trent is sent to investigate Kane's mysterious vanishing act and ends up in the sleepy little East Coast town of Hobbs End. The fact that this town exists as a figment of Kane's twisted imagination is only the beginning of Trent's problems. So let's imagine Stephen King and we have Derry or Castle Rock, right? Both of those are fictional towns. Yeah. This is essentially Stephen King goes missing And we find out that Castle Rock is actually a real town, but it's just on no maps.
Yeah, and it's evil, and like hell's breaking loose.
Yeah,
like literally,
like it's like
hell
it's
is breaking, like coming through into the real world.
Yeah. So
like
apparently, in the world of this movie, Sutter Kane goes to this town, and this is where he gets all the ideas for his book.
Yeah.
For his books, because he writes about Hobbs End in his book. That's his Castle Rock, and. So anyway, Sam Neill goes there and all hell breaks loose.
I think it's a fine concept. Honestly, it would not fit this if Sam Neill makes this movie part of this genre, because
there's no reaction.
Hell is breaking loose at this place, and he is not giving any reaction.
No reaction.
So funny.
There's like zombies chasing him, and he's just like
what's going on?
Oh man.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's exactly what
I'm
it
pretty
is.
sure that at one point the love interest becomes possessed and like tries to kill him.
Yeah.
And he just right hooks her.
I think
Knocks her out and then picks her up, throws her over his shoulder, throws her in the car, and just drives away.
He totally does, man.
That?
He totally does. Oh man,
Right hooks her.
it's just crazy, and it's the idea that it's so what it ends up being, and this is not really spoiling anything, but what it ends up being is, what if Stephen King, what if his words actually possessed people? Mm-hmm. So when you read the book, you become possessed. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? If they're as evil as he actually makes them seem, It's
an evil book, actually.
Evil book, actually. Mm-hmm. And then the question is, where does the line blur? If they do a movie adaptation, will that also possess people? Yeah. But let's not forget about the very opening of this movie with Sam Neill in the insane asylum.
Oh yeah,
with crosses all. So you open up this movie and Sam Neill's in an insane asylum, and it's actually a foreshadow, or it's a flashback, or it's a foreshadow. Flash forward.
Yeah, it's a foreshadow.
Yeah. It's a foreshadow.
Well, they go back.
They go back in time. So this is more towards the end that it would actually take place.
This is how it ends.
So he's in an insane asylum because the world has gone crazy from this, because he's Sutter Kane's such a big author, and they make a movie adaptation and the world sees it, so everybody goes crazy, and Sam Neill's like, I won't read the book. So he's in this insane asylum, and he's in this cell, in this padded cell, and he's just got crosses everywhere, all over his body, dude. Just it's like the most, and again, no reaction. There's no he's like not acting. So it's so funny that he's covered in all of these things, and it's everywhere, and he's trying to act crazy, but it's weird. It feels weird that, so
he's literally like, there's stuff going crazy, and he's like, what's going on? Like, just so chill about everything. It's so funny.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll come back to this one too, and we'll circle back and read it. What?
Would that one? So from there, would you consider?
I would say from there we would go to the one with Billy Zane.
Over Event Horizon? You don't think Event Horizon would be part of
I
that?
don't think Event Horizon.
I think for Horizon is just not good.
Event Horizon's fantastic. What are you talking about?
No, Event Horizon's wild.
So this is another one with Sam Neill, and Billy Zane and Nicole Kidman, and it's just those three.
Yeah. What's it called?
It is called. What is it called? I gotta find it real quick.
It's right there. The red one.
Oh yeah, Dead Calm.
Dead Calm.
Dead Calm. Yeah.
Wild.
Which actually he won an award for that.
Billy Zane?
Yeah. I don't know what he won. I have to look it up. Let's see what
it's so funny, actually.
Let's see what IMDb has to say about it.
It's just too wild. It's Sam Neill, and he's a Navy captain, right?
Yeah, he's a Navy captain.
And Nicole Kidman's his wife, and they lose a kid, and so they're like,
she has a miscarriage.
Yeah, and so they're like,
or the kid dies. The kid dies. He's already born, and he dies.
And it starts off right after the kid dies.
Yeah,
and
so he comes home. He's like a decorated Navy captain.
Yeah,
so he's a seaman.
And he's like, I'm gonna take some leave, and we're just gonna go for like 3 months, go travel, just me and you on our boat, and just live
to comfort her,
to comfort her, and just to get away from everything. And they pretty much they see another boat that's shipwrecked in the middle of the ocean, and there's one guy on it, and he's like, help, and it's Billy Zane. And you end up finding out Billy Zane's story, that he pretty early on.
Now this is a young Billy Zane though. Let's also preface this is a young Billy Zane.
Very young.
Very
hair
young.
Billy Zane. This is prior than
This
to
came out in
Titanic.
'89.
Yeah.
So this is prior to Titanic, and it's a very young Billy Zane, and he's very skinny.
Yeah. And you find out that Billy Zane was like a millionaire or something like that, and he brought a bunch of people on a boat and then killed them all
But he brought them on the boat to make a porno.
to make a porno. Yeah. And
Okay.
then he kills them all, and then he like staged it, right? To
Yeah.
make it look like he was
Like
a
a shipwreck or something.
Yeah, he stages it to look like a shipwreck,
Pretty
and
much.
then tells them that somebody on the boat went crazy, and he's the lone survivor.
Never trust the lone survivor.
Yeah. So and the whole time Sam Neill is a decorated Navy captain, and
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman's not an idiot in it either, So they're kind of on their boat, and they're like, what are the odds that we find somebody else out here? We're in the middle of the ocean,
And he seems really like charismatic.
And
Billy Zane's
he
character.
he is. But let's just say that they're also very hesitant because what they see is this boat in the distance and it doesn't look like it's doing anything, So they're they're like, should we go over there? Should we not go over there? Should we go over there? And eventually through circumstance, they're kind of like, we're going to go over
Well,
there.
they don't go over there. They kind of Billy Zane actually ends up on a rowboat. Remember? And
You're
there,
right. And he rows
to
to
them
them first.
My ship's over there.
Yeah.
And then okay, so they pull up probably like 100 feet away from the boat, and him being a Navy captain is like, I'll go check it out. So he goes in there and he leaves them on the boat, and he goes and takes the rowboat out there. And he's looking around. There's like decapitated heads and stuff like that. The whole entire,
It's like gutted. There's like people's guts. He's like, what is this?
And then he turns around, and Billy Zane takes his boat with his wife and just drives away with
And
it.
just dips out.
So he's like, oh no.
And
So
now he's on this boat that doesn't work. And it's sinking.
and he has to like pump the boat and get it back working.
Like
and-
manually.
Yeah.
It's just on a sinking tomb.
And he's like, and now
He's
so
like, I gotta get this thing working so I can get my wife
yeah.
back.
And this happens like maybe 30 minutes in. So, the whole movie
Jumping
is
real quick, dude.
Yeah, the whole movie is Sam Neill trying to get this broken boat working to get back, but he's like a decorated Navy captain, so he's like the perfect guy for the job to do it. So, and it's just now he's trying to hunt them down. And he finally does get back to the boat, which is crazy.
The funny part about it is that Billy Zane's not like a serial killer. Like
No.
he doesn't. Like he's just like some charismatic like 22-year-old who's like,
but
we should get married.
But he's like,
Nicole
but
Kidman.
he's a psycho. He's
Yeah,
like
yeah, he's
literally
like crazy, but
he literally plays a psycho, but it's like the over the top psycho acting wise. So that's what kind of throws this one into this category.
It's not
where
like he's
just
he's not trying to kill anybody, like Nicole Kidman or anything like
Yeah.
that. He's just trying to
he's just crazy.
He's just crazy.
He's just
Yeah.
crazy. So he like takes the boat and he's like, well, your husband's dead now. Hey, we should get married. We should hook up.
You want to keep this exhibition going? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
I'm making some food. Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. So I think I'm gonna rate that one in there too. That does fall under this. And the funny thing about this is these all get pretty good reviews, but I think one of the things is that about this genre is they're movies that are way too good by people and with casts that are way too good that you've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Like why does nobody
cult classics.
Yeah, why not even cult classics? Because why does nobody talk about these? Like Donnie Darko is a cult classic and everybody talks about Donnie Darko. I don't know, there's a lot of other cult classics that people still talk about, but like these ones just kind of like had their debut and then just like slept right under the rug. Like nobody talks about these movies, you got to dig for them.
Yeah.
I'm interested though because I don't think Trev's seen any of these three so far. So I'm interested if Trevor's ever. Do you have any movies that you think would fall under this category?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but they definitely have that through line where they're all like good, but there's just something like off about it. Like either like someone's underacting or overacting.
Yeah.
It's got a little campy, a little cheesy, but still just good.
Dude, I don't know what else to say.
Sometimes, honestly, it's definitely a hit or miss because if you miss, you either get a really good movie that's just good, and just no one knows about it, or you get a really weird movie that's just not good.
Yes,
and you're like, oh, that was a miss.
And I will say that all of these movies, all three of these movies, sit at I think they all sit at like
They're too good.
I know they are
somewhere in the 6.5 rating on IMDb, you know. So they're regarded as good movies. The people who see them do rate them well. So like Dreamcatcher is I take that back. Dreamcatcher is a 5.5. In the Mouth of Madness is a 7.1.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's nuts. And then this last one, Dead Calm, is a 6.8.
Yeah.
I want to see what award he won for it.
Well, we got into
four nominations and 5 wins.
Wait, how's that math?
Okay. I'm sorry. 4 nominations.
One by accident.
5 wins. Yeah. CFCA Award nominee in 1990 for Most Promising Actor. That's crazy.
And as we know, Billy Zane did become a very A-list actor.
Yeah.
Right.
As we all know.
Yeah. Although that new movie with him playing Brando looks pretty good. And he
looks like Brando.
Well, it's because he's always looked like Brando.
Yeah,
He's always looked like Brando. But I don't know how to put it, this movie. It's absolutely bonkers. Yeah. No, you know what? I take that back, because you did watch one that's on the list. We just watched it recently.
You watched 2 of them that are on the list that I'm going to talk about.
You think that...
Well, I would say that right before we get to that, around this time, we were also kind of trying to find another one after these 2, actually 3 banger movies. And we ended up watching, forgive me, I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but it's Viggo Mortensen.
Oh, yeah, Silver Skin or something like that.
Yeah. I feel Silver Skin, or what is it?
Let's see, I'll look it up right now, but go ahead.
Long story short, this is one of those ones that's just weird.
Yeah, this one, we watched it thinking that it was going to be in this category, and it did not fall in this category. It was just
like, ooh.
It was slow and weird.
Yeah, that was a example of a miss.
Of a miss, yeah. All in all, it was a fine movie, but it wasn't. It wasn't,
not what you're looking for.
It wasn't great, and to be honest, it wasn't as weird as it sounded. Though they really make it sound a lot weirder than it actually was.
I think wasn't it Cronenberg?
It was no, I don't know. Let me find it real quick. But I don't remember what it was.
Either way,
yeah,
crazy.
That's how. That's how
crazy.
Not crazy it was. I don't remember what it was called. It was a young Viggo too.
It was a young Viggo as well. Yeah.
So I think it might have been before Lord of the Rings, to be honest. It was the 90s.
I think it was before Lord of the Rings. But
it was way boiling.
On the other,
the reflecting skin.
Reflecting skin.
In the 1950s, a young boy living with his troublesome family in rural USA fantasizes that a neighboring widow is actually a vampire responsible for a number of disappearances in the area.
Sounds kind of cool, right?
Sounds pretty crazy,
Sounds
right?
Wild.
Yeah, and it's like it almost feels like Little House on the Prairie, where there's like one house in a cornfield, and it's like a collection of maybe 5 families who live in this little area.
Sounds culty.
It's super culty. It seems really culty. And boys keep dying. Little boys keep dying. So he's like, I think my widow neighbor who just moved in is a vampire. You know, so he tries, and then his older brother is Viggo.
Which is not as satisfying as you want it to be
it's
by
really
that summary.
You know,
but,
and that's a 6.7. That has a better rating than Dreamcatcher. However, it is not
as interesting.
Not as interesting.
And the other end of the scale is Bill Paxton's, I think, directorial debut,
Hand of God,
which
is fantastic. I would actually, I forgot about that
bad
one.
Good. That was just good.
I actually think that I would put that one at number 2.
Yeah,
I think I would.
I don't think that would even be on the list, honestly.
You don't? I do.
I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's like crazy.
Well,
it's too good?
Tim and I have debated this quite a bit, whether that one should be on the list or not. And I argue that it should be on the list because nobody talks about it. Have you ever heard of Hand of God?
No.
Let me tell you this real quick.
I think there's some parts of it that are kind of like, what is going on? But I think that's a big criteria for this genre.
Was it called Hand of God? What was it called?
No, I think it was Hand of God, wasn't it?
No.
I'm going to get that in my head, so I can't think of anything else.
I'll look it up real quick. But
either way, it there was some kind of crazy parts, but overall, it was just a
good
crazy
movie.
Yeah, like kind of like at the end there's a twist and you're like,
he directs it and he acts in it,
and McConaughey's in it.
Oh.
It's McConaughey and him, yeah.
And it came out. It's like a young McConaughey too.
Yeah, and
there's another person who's in it too.
It's the
little Peter Pan from Peter, like one of the, because it takes place as them as kids.
Yeah,
it's Bill Paxton and his kids. Is it? No, it's Bill Paxton and his brother.
No. It starts out with Bill Paxton and his 2 kids. And the mom is dead.
Yes. And it takes them young and then them adults.
McConaughey is one of the older brothers. And the other older brother, when they're older, is he's in Angels in America.
This thing had to
the
come
HBO
out.
show.
There's
But
no way
either
this
way,
thing
he killed
came out
himself right
that
in the
old
beginning.
ago.
And
McConaughey?
No, McConaughey's brother. Okay. And McConaughey's brother is a serial killer.
Committed suicide. Yeah, we find out it is.
Well, in the beginning, he right to
this one I don't want to talk too much about though, because this one has a good twist.
I'm literally giving the opening scene. The opening scene is he kills himself and he's a serial killer. And McConaughey is like, oh wow.
The cops come to him and be like, your brother killed himself.
Yeah, and then it kind of goes back into McConaughey's character's childhood and how it kind of all unfolded and how the brother became like that. And all right, maybe it is on that list because
it is. It's totally on that list.
Yeah,
it's totally on that list.
You should watch it. You guys should watch it.
We should actually watch it tonight. I actually want to hear all your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, we're not one on the docket for tonight. We could.
Yeah, that one.
I gotta find it because I'm not pulling it up here.
That one has a good.
Oh, it's called Frailty.
Yeah,
it's called Frailty.
That one has.
But that's where Hand of God is is the name that the serial killer that the brother goes by as a serial killer. Is he's the Hand of God, and because because what he's doing
like
is
vigilante.
He's doing
kind
God's
of he's
work.
doing God's work. He thinks that God's telling him to kill demons. That there are humans and then there are demons, and we can't tell the difference. But he's got a divine intervention where God's showing him which ones are demons.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, that's a good setup for a crazy person for a.
Oh, it's so good, dude, and you have such conviction because you're like you almost the way that it's done is you almost start thinking you're almost like, oh my goodness, I think maybe he is.
Well, if you have any religious standpoint at all, or faith in any sense, you kind of start to think like if I was in the situation where I actually, because he's not a crazy guy,
no,
and like
and it starts with his dad.
Yeah.
So it starts with Bill Paxton. We won't go too deep into it because this one's one of those ones where you don't want. I'll just read you the synopsis.
It makes you feel like you. Like what would you do in this situation if you were?
A mysterious man arrives at the offices of an FBI agent and recounts his childhood, how his religious fanatic father received visions telling him to destroy people who were in fact demons.
Yeah. Yeah. But it makes you kind of think.
It does.
What would I do if I heard a voice? And I wouldn't consider myself crazy. If I was hearing a voice saying this guy's actually a demon, like, do you think it's actually God's work that you're doing, or do you think it's actually you're killing?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of stories like that in the Bob. It's like man almost killing his kid and stuff like that. It's like
I think that was the point.
Would you? Like taking all those old stories and be like, hey, what if this happened to someone nowadays who thought
exactly.
Could it happen if you're in religion?
I think that was the point, and I think Bill Paxton does a really good. I would actually argue that this is probably the best movie on the list. Like rounded movie, like good acting, good story. It's just another one that nobody talks about. It's got a 7.2 on IMDb.
It's a good rating.
That's a great rating. So as you guys are aware, or if you're not aware, I personally rate my movies by IMDb, and I say a 6.5 and above is a good movie. Anything below that is a gamble. And depending how far down you go, the worse the odds, you know. But a 6.5,
we're like, just bring me a 7 or above, or else I ain't watching.
Yeah, 7 or above, or I'm going to bed.
See, and I'm okay with that because I think that a 5, anywhere in the 5 range is a gamble. The 6, still a gamble, but you're kind of like, all right. I think low 6s are still a gamble.
No, I don't think you'll ever. I don't think you'll
gamble, but you're still kind of.
I don't think you'll ever really miss with a 6.5 or above. I think you're always going to pull something away.
7 and above. 7 and above is good.
8, 7 above is you're not going to miss. It's a good movie.
I'm saying, but that's where it starts to get good. It's a 7 to an 8.
And what are you thinking? Maybe like the 6 is like opinion based.
That's too high.
It could be good, but
there's no such thing as opinion. It's all fact.
I think a 6 is rocky territory.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
An 8 to a 9 is obviously great, and I've only seen 2 9s or aboves.
Yeah,
and that's The Dark Knight and Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah,
and Godfather Part 1 and 2.
Well, Lord of the Rings is up there, isn't it?
And all 3 Lord of the Rings. Nope.
What are they set at?
2 of the 3 Lord of the Rings.
2 of the 3. Okay.
2 Towers is 8.8, I believe.
Is it? Let's see. So
actually, I don't think
if we go down to Lord of the Rings, 2 Towers is an 8.8. Fellowship is a 9.6, and Return of the King is a 9.
9.
I can't believe Fellowship beat out Return of the King.
Makes sense.
Wait a second. Extended edition of Two Towers is a 9.5, so
there you have it.
That extra hour really adds really adds a lot to the story. The quality of film.
There's a little skew to that because who's going to watch the extended if they don't like it to begin with, so they're going to rate it pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, I think at this point, most people just watch the extended. I don't think anybody really watches the theatrical cut.
If you're going to go for it, just
Oh,
go
is
for
that the standard now? Well, yeah. Aren't there like 6 different versions?
There's
You
like
go through like the
four
theatrical,
different, there's
DVD,
4 different
Blu-ray.
versions. Yeah, 4K UHD.
But I believe all of them are, none of them are like added scenes except for the extended edition. I think they're all just different remasters.
Editions. They are. But the extended editions are the ones, I mean, and I'm sure that if you're a diehard fan, you're going to watch them, but it's pretty, I would say it's actually easier to get your hand on the extended editions nowadays than it is the
theatrical.
The theatrical.
Mm-hmm.
I have them both.
Multiple copies. I've been stockpiling a small collection of physical media just in case the world goes to shit. We never know. We're in trying times right now, and you know what?
I mean, it came in handy the other night when the
power went out.
Yeah, because all the fires were taking out the internet and power, and we got our power back, but the internet was still gone. We're like, what are we gonna watch?
Yeah.
We had no streaming.
Good thing I have all the James Bonds on DVD.
What did you just get on DVD?
I just got The Talented Mr. Ripley, my favorite movie.
Mid movie.
It's not a mid movie. That's
a good movie.
I would 6.3.
No,
that movie's like 2 movies in one. Like they could have cut it at the middle mark and been like, that was a movie. It would have been a full story and good. And then they just kept going.
I feel like that's another one that I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about. It's a 7.4.
I'll tell you what. Talented Mr. Ripley is kind of a divergent conversation, but really quick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that all I want to say about it is it's an all right movie. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great.
I would say the only thing bad about it is,
I would say Matt Damon makes the movie great.
No, Jude Law.
No.
Matt Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Matt Damon's acting in it
is so good.
Is so much better than both Jude Law's and
Gwyneth Paltrow's is good too, and Cate Blanchett's.
Yeah, but the way that he mimics all of them is perfect. It's very good.
Yeah,
and you can tell like he's
always him mimicking because sometimes it's so good. I wonder if they were dubbing his voice. Or
well, that's what I was gonna say. Is it's a great movie, and I think it's the perfect like accumulation of all of my favorite things, like, you know, the Amalfi Coast, Jude Law, young Jude Law, like this kind of 1950s like aesthetic, you know, Jude Law, beautiful Jude, like in his prime Jude Law, man,
jazz.
Dude, I'm sorry, Jude Law's son, dude. You have to grow up knowing that you're never going to be as cool as your dad, and your dad knows how cool he is. You can never be like, my dad's not cool, because everybody's be like, shut up. You know, you're wrong. Your dad's so cool.
It's tough because he's done a lot of bad movies, but he's still cool.
It's because he's beautiful. I've never seen a man with such a receding hairline be so beautiful.
That's true.
Especially from a young age. That dude has had some deep recessions.
Cuts
and he's still gorgeous. Man, is he gorgeous. But that was a little
tangent.
But I do think that the whole thing, the aesthetic, it's a con man story, you know. The story's great. The aesthetic is great.
You gotta get all
no, you got me on it. I'm gonna stay here. Let me.
All right, this podcast is taking a turn.
Let me stay in this realm for a second, please. I think the only thing that you could probably argue is not great is like a lot of the movie is ADR and it's like not good dubs. Like I think Philip Seymour Hoffman's character specifically, if you can get past, I always say Eddie and the Cruisers is a great movie if you can get past bad lip syncing. Talented Mr. Ripley is a great movie if you can get past bad lip syncing.
I don't think it was that bad.
Let's rewatch some scenes.
We gotta rewatch it.
I don't think if you're not looking for it, you won't necessarily pay attention.
Yeah, I've only seen it once. So it was more like I was just paying attention to the ridiculous story.
The ridiculous story, and it's a ridiculous story, isn't it? I know.
It is a ridiculous story.
It is so good. There's actually a sequel that we have to watch because she wrote
what?
So it's based off of Patricia Highsmith wrote.
It's not with them.
Patricia Highsmith wrote the book, and she wrote more books in the Ripley universe. And it's not with Matt Damon though, but it's called Ripley's Game, and it's actually an older Tom Ripley. Now he's an old man, and it's John Malkovich. is Tom Ripley. Yeah, it's not as good.
No.
So maybe it was Matt Damon that made it.
I'm telling you,
it was both of them. It was the entire. It's like it's such a stellar cast, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to hit with that, or hard to miss.
Especially in that era, that was like all of them were in their prime. That was like prime Gwyneth Paltrow, prime Matt Damon, prime. I actually think it came out before Good Will Hunting, if I'm not mistaken. 99.
No way.
I think even without being like in the prime, because I watched it decades later, very recently, and I didn't take any of that into account. I was just watching.
Oh no, it was right after Good Will Hunting. Yeah. Good Will Hunting was 97. Yeah. So yeah, but they actually Netflix just did the revival of the limited series Ripley.
Yeah. Let's move on. Back to our
what's the next movie? Is it one I've seen?
Yeah, where were we? So we just left off on.
Well, we had talked about
Frailty. That's where we left off.
Yeah, I guess would count for it.
And then we got to go into Fallen. The Denzel Washington.
Whoa, I forgot about that one. Would you consider The House that Jack built on that?
I actually never finished it.
The House that Jack built.
Give us a rundown.
So pretty much it is Matt Dillon, and not to be confused with Matt Damon. Matt Dillon is a serial killer. Also good.
You know Herbie Fully Loaded?
Yeah. He's the guy that Brothers in Entourage.
Yeah, Kevin Dillon.
Yeah, Kevin Dillon.
I don't even know that.
That's Matt Dillon's brother.
Yeah.
What was his name in
Trip Murphy?
Trip Murphy.
Yeah. You know, the Cheeto guy?
Cheeto guy, yeah.
And actually, I think that his like secondary guy, his assistant, is
And for Fully Loaded?
Yeah, who's the guy you met? Jimmy.
Oh, it is Jimmy Simpson.
Jimmy
Simpson.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
What a great
And he has
movie.
like a neck brace on.
What a great movie, dude.
Great movie. Anyways,
I also went Under the Silver Lake.
That's coming up. That's coming up. Oh, I take that back. I
wouldn't put it in there.
Oh, I would.
We can talk about it. But
We'll talk about it. I would put it in there.
I would put it in just good.
We'll talk about this at the end.
No,
and then
I would.
It's a little different.
But
I would put it in
it's
there.
different than
100%.
Yeah.
And it's one of those movies that is like what, and nobody talks about it.
Yeah. Just to plug it. Where I'm
Just to
we can
plug
talk
it.
about it.
I think it actually goes. I actually think it goes Under the Silver Lake, Frailty, In the Mouth of Madness, Dreamcatcher for right now for me.
Yeah.
All right.
I forget. But no, really quickly.
So yes, go back on this one. So I can't vouch for this one because I didn't finish it, and it's a pretty tame movie to begin with.
It's a completely tame movie.
But then it takes a turn at the end where I had fallen asleep.
So I'm going to spoil this one completely for you guys really quick because I don't think it's that good. And it's not really funny either. It's not like so bad it's funny or anything like that. It's just Matt Dillon being a serial killer and just he kind of is like a Patrick Bateman, and he builds a house out in like not the sticks necessarily, but like
and I do think more people talk about this one.
This one is a little bit more known, I think, but it caught me off guard because
2018.
He's no,
yeah,
no,
2018.
No way.
Yep.
What
came out in 2018?
Really? Anyways, so pretty much he builds his house and
so Lars von Trier.
It's very tame, and then the last like 20 minutes of the movie.
Oh, this is the guy that did the Nymphomaniacs.
And there is literally Dante's Inferno, the layers of hell, in his room. And
but it's told in episodes too.
Yeah, and he pretty much just tries to crawl in the nine layers of hell, and he falls in.
Yeah,
that's the end.
He just has to tiptoe around.
So he's a serial killer. He's a serial killer who built a house on top of hell with an entrance to hell.
Yeah.
And then he goes to hell and falls in the lava. And from what I remember, or what I heard, you know.
What a dumb move.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I was like, wake up.
I never finished it because it didn't really keep my interest. But in 5 episodes, failed architect and vicious sociopath Jack recounts his elaborately orchestrated murders, each as he views them a towering work of art that defines his life's work as a serial killer in the Pacific Northwest.
That sounds pretty good.
It takes place in the 70s. I mean, it's got a 6.8, so it's a good movie.
Yeah, I'd like to give it another rewatch because it did not make any sense to me the first time I watched it, and I was not expecting it.
I would say being John Malkovich is also weird, but it doesn't fall into this category.
I think that was too popular to be in this.
And it's just weird.
And it's just weird. But it's too popular.
Malkovich? Michael Bay.
And then the other one that we were talking about that you and I finished was that I forgot about just now was the Denzel Washington movie called
Fallen. This wasn't from 98. So another thing that I'm really into is, so Tim and I watch a lot of movies, and the more that I talk to people who watch a lot of movies, quote unquote, the more I realize we watch a lot of movies, with like capitalized. So that being said, I mean, I probably watch a movie a day, if not two. But that being said, I've seen a lot of movies, and we've gotten to a point where we spend 2 hours scrolling, trying to find a movie that we haven't seen. Just a while. Yeah, just to...
And it goes around with us being like, oh, that was a good one. Oh, that was a good one. Oh, that was a good one.
Now that being said, I think that this is why we started finding the genre, is discovering these hidden movies. And another thing that I'm really into is finding, and Trev doesn't necessarily believe me on this all the way, but is finding, you can find any A-list actor and find a bad horror movie that they were a lead in.
See, I still don't believe that's 100% true, but you have
I have never been
taken
wrong.
on the challenge many times.
And I have not been wrong.
I think it's at least 90.
No, it's 100%. 100%. If you guys want to comment, I'm going to post I'm going to post this list on our social media accounts. So if you guys want to take a look at the list so you guys can follow along and watch some of these crazy movies, do it. You won't be let down. But if you guys want to comment an actor, I will find you a bad horror movie that they were in.
And we'll watch it.
And I've already seen it probably, but I guarantee you I can find a bad horror movie, female or male actor, A-list, B-list, you name it, and I'll find you a bad horror movie they were in that was somewhat good.
Chris Pratt.
All right, done, dude. I'll find one.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, Fallen is a homicide detective, John Hobbs, witnesses the execution of a serial killer, Edgar Reese. Soon after the execution, the killings start again, and they are very similar to Reese's style. And this one was kind of lackluster. I don't know if I would actually put this one on the list either.
It was kind of good.
It was okay. It wasn't bad.
The end of it was kind of wild.
But it wasn't
Denzel. Like too wild.
Yeah, it's got a 7.0.
It was tamely wild. It was like if 7 didn't hit as hard.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was.
It's like if 7 was mid.
You know what it is? If you're going to talk about the lineage of 7, because this was, I think, what I say, 98. This was 98. So if you're going to talk about the lineage of 7, kind of where that like psychopathic serial killer with like
look at the
with religious undertones, kind of was like, this was kind of when it was really kind of popping.
Yeah.
It goes 7 Fallen Horsemen.
Horseman's another one.
Horseman was another one where it's Dennis Quaid, and he's a detective who is hunting down a serial killer who is killing like the 4 horsemen.
And then somewhere tucked in between is the kiss the what's the Morgan Freeman one? The Kiss of a Spider.
Kiss of a Spider. Yeah, I think that's what it's called actually.
That one.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
There's actually 2 of them.
Heard of that.
With Morgan Freeman as a sequel. I think that is the sequel, actually. But Horseman's kind of wild, too. Actually.
Yeah, I would actually say Kiss of the... I think that's what it's called. Maybe it's not.
No, it's a spider. The girl with the spider...
No, it's not the girl with the spider tattoo. It's Dragon Tattoo.
Dragon Tattoo.
It doesn't really... I've actually never seen those.
Wait, what?
The foreign ones are better, but...
I've never seen the girl with the dragon tattoos.
That's a good one. I haven't seen the original. What was it, like a Swiss?
I think it's Swiss or German.
I would put my money on Swiss.
But Daniel Craig is in them, right?
He's in the David Fincher American remakes.
Is he?
Well, but they only made...
David Fincher made those movies?
Yeah.
All of them?
I think
I think he only made the first one.
The first one. And I think that they made a trilogy, but I think the original ones are...
I thought it was 4. I think there were 4 of them.
I think there's another one or something. Either way, it's 4. And there is, I think, like 5 of the foreign ones, and I think there's like 2 or 3 of them.
Morgan Freeman's got so many movies.
The American remakes with Daniel Craig.
This was...
And that was like, I think, early on when he was starting to shoot digital, so he could really go wild with the takes.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo where this is how meticulous Fincher is that
along came a spider.
In between 2 shots of the actress walking out of the door from inside the house to showing her coming outside, her hair was parted in one and not in the other, so he digitally put a part in her hair to keep continuity.
Crazy, dude.
That's how we want to be.
Yeah.
That's the level of petty I want to be.
The type of guy who doesn't let you have a day off for your dog's death.
For your dog's death. That's what I want to be.
Sorry, man.
Sorry, dude. We're on $1 million set. Couple $1 million set. Along Came a Spider is the one that you're talking about, but Morgan Freeman did a movie a couple of years later called Kiss the Girl, which is probably what you're thinking of.
They're in conjunction.
So Kiss the Girl and Along Came a Spider.
Go down to IMDb.
So
look at follows.
So Kiss the Girl is the original then. So yeah, and actually it's followed. Oh, they're Alex Cross books.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. So he plays Alex Cross.
Oh,
so these are I think these are Patterson books. Alex Cross, I think, is Patterson, if I'm not mistaken.
Either Tom Clancy, one of the two.
Yeah, it's one of them. No, not Tom Clancy.
It's not Tom Clancy.
No. But, yeah, I think these are... Yeah, they're James Patterson books.
Okay, so who actually wrote them?
What? Yeah, so who actually wrote them? I don't know. He'll never tell. So, yeah, that one, Along Came a Spider. I never saw that one, actually. There you go. There's a movie I haven't seen.
We started it.
I think
that's the reason I know what it is.
Yeah.
When I watched it, he's a forensic analyst.
Oh, I did watch this.
And I remember I sat down and I was interested in it because he was a forensic analyst.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I watched it.
Yeah. So that one was good. But anyway, back to Fallen. So Denzel is a cop, and it's just basically Denzel as a cop versus a demon.
Yeah.
Who keeps possessing
ends up
people.
Being John Goodman.
Yeah. What? It doesn't fall in the category, but it is weird.
It sounds like it falls in the category.
It doesn't fall in the category, but it is weird. And there's this one scene.
No, it's kind of good. You fell asleep at the end.
There is this one scene, though, that's pretty funny because the way the demon, it doesn't stay with one person. It can just bounce back and forth between people. So it's literally Morgan Freeman on the street, or Denzel Washington on the street being like, where'd he go? And this demon it jumps into the point of view of the demon. And all he has to do is touch somebody and he could be in that person. So he's just jumping between people back and forth. And Denzel's like, there he is. Oh, wait. There he is.
Wow,
there he is. Yeah. Yeah. And he keeps finding him in this
playing
scene.
That shuffling cups
chasing him. Yeah. While this demon just keeps going back and forth, just like shuffling.
So
funny. Yeah. It's a little ridiculous.
But the end scene was kind of...
It's not a bad movie. Again, I think it's like a 6.6, so you can't argue with it.
I take it, but it's just, I'm not gonna take it back. But
so subjectively good.
The end of it is kind of it on paper it makes sense what he does to end the movie, but it's kind of like wait, why? Why are you doing that? Dude?
I also don't want to spoil that ending for you because it does have an ending where
it makes sense.
It makes sense, but. That's all I'm gonna say.
It makes sense.
That's all I'm gonna say. I can't say anything more. Yep. Get to it. Watch the movie. Mm-hmm. Let me know what you think about the ending because it also has a twist.
Mm-hmm.
What's the twist? And I think after Fallen, I think we're getting into the Silver Lake territory. I think that's the next because we
the first time we watched Into Silver Lake was probably after that. Yeah.
I think we kind of there was a period in between Fallen and Under the Silver Lake. Well, we watched Horseman, but Horseman wasn't good. I wouldn't recommend Horseman.
It was kind of good.
No, it was not. I wouldn't recommend it. It does not get this pink blue stamp of approval. But that being said, I think that there was a period where there was a gap where we couldn't find anything else that was like we kept watching movies and being like, no, doesn't fit it.
Not hidden.
Doesn't hit it, until we got to Under the Silver Lake, starring Andrew Garfield. And my lord,
so good.
What? I don't know what else to say about it.
It's a head trip, and it's not going to make sense right off the bat. And even if you watch it again, it probably won't make
unfortunately
100% sense. But there's so many layers that you just start piecing together more and more stories within the story.
It's a true conspiracy movie in every regard.
It's every conspiracy.
And this is also 2018.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's newer than I thought.
This is also this is actually the follow-up, the director's follow-up to It Follows.
It Follows, yes.
So the guy who did It Follows, who's now doing They Follow, which comes out this year, those are his only 3 movies. It Follows, Under the Silver Lake, and now They Follow. Yeah.
See, this movie is like... Remember when Inception came out? And there was like the group...
Oh, I take that back. Because actually this year he's got They Follow and The Flower Veil Street. So those are his only 3 movies. He's got 2 movies coming out this year.
But when Inception came out, you remember when there was like a group of people that would be like, "Oh, I watched it the first time, I got it." Yeah. There's people who are like, "I did not understand it. I got to watch it again."
Yeah. Or Memento. Or any or like The Sixth Sense, where you watch these movies and you're like, whoa, what a twist! I get it.
Right. Yeah. This one,
Donnie Darko is, I think, another one where it's like you watch it and you're like, I have no idea what that means.
I don't believe anyone who says they understand Donnie Darko.
No, because even the director himself is like, I don't know what it means. You know, you guys can keep trying, but
this one does not make sense at all, and no one's gonna get this in the first go.
I've watched it probably 6 times, and I'm still on.
The second go, you're still not gonna get it.
Yeah.
The third go.
Well, I think you could watch through it and you could have an idea, be like, okay, I got an idea of it, but
it's not hard to follow.
Layer to the onion.
See, I think the
there's
progression,
so much more going on. You may flip flop back and forth in what you think of. You're
exactly.
like, oh, I got it. Wait, no, it could be this. Oh, it could be what I first thought, but maybe it's this other thing.
Which I'm just gonna say, which is tough because, you know, as a fan of Donnie Darko, you watch Donnie Darko and you try to piece it together, and you watch the director's cut and you try to piece it together, and then you read the manifesto book, you know, and then you try to piece it. You keep trying to piece it together, and you're able to like kind of be like, oh, but you're kind of like you're doing a math equation and you're adding X, you know, and X doesn't really exist, but you're adding X to make the math problem work, you know.
Yeah, it's like everyone who makes sense of the movie has to make sense in their own way.
Yeah.
They have to fill in the gaps.
Whereas this one, from the get-go, you can watch this movie and you can make sense of it from the beginning.
I think that the first time you watch this movie, you're like, wow, that was either really stupid or really crazy and confusing. And then the second time you watch it, you're kind of like, wait, I'm kind of getting it. And then by the third time you're watching it, honestly, you're like, this thing is layered. Everything means something to everything else.
Yeah.
You can totally get a different movie out of it every time you watch it.
Every time.
You're like, wait a minute. Everything makes sense now because it's all connected. Too connected. To
It's
the point where you
connected.
don't think it's connected at all.
Yeah.
Like, there's a good surface level story to it,
Yeah.
so you don't feel cheated when you watch it,
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah.
But it's the stupid
Every
amount of
single
layers
thing.
to it that keep you coming back.
I think like Nolan is a good representation, or like a good comparison, because you can watch Memento, or you can watch The Prestige, or you can watch, and The Prestige, I think out of all of Nolan's movies, I think The Prestige
I think it's
is
the most underrated and one of the best.
I think it's the most underrated, and I think it's the most layered, where from the very beginning of that movie, if you watch that movie, almost every line of dialogue is a clue to the ending of that movie.
You can pick it up if you're looking for it.
If you're looking for it.
You can pick it up like in the first 10 minutes.
There's like so many clues in that. Like everything in that movie is a clue to what it is.
Yeah.
I would say this one is actually like more layered than that one. And I don't even know if I haven't watched any interviews with the director on this one. I haven't really watched anything, you know? So I don't even know if the director meant to do half of what he does, but it's like everything ties to something else. It's like the most hyperlinked movie I've ever seen.
See, I think that with Nolan's movies, he kind of sets up a question that you have to answer. And then that's kind of the twist of it. I think with this, you don't, there's no
question
There's
posed.
no way. Yeah, exactly. There's no way that you can. You're getting all these numbers.
Yeah.
And you don't know even how to put them together because the end of it is so like, what?
Here, let me read the
this is about?
synopsis. So this is written by A24, because this is an A24 movie.
Oh.
Sam, Andrew Garfield's character, is a disenchanted 33-year-old who discovers a mysterious woman, Sarah, who's Riley Keough, who is Elvis's granddaughter. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Frolicking in his apartment's swimming pool. When she vanishes, Sam embarks on a surreal quest across Los Angeles to decode the secret behind her disappearance, leading him into the murkiest depths of mystery, scandal, and conspiracy in the City of Angels. And I think one of the things that draws me to this movie so much is there's a lot of things coming out now in 2025 where it's like we've been speculating about the government for the past 10 years, where like, man, this is crazy. And it's like weird to have it validated, where it's all coming out now and you're like, whoa, it's actually deeper than we thought, and it's all being validated. And I think this movie specifically does a really good job of having it's a conspiracy movie, but it's a conspiracy movie about, I think there's one scene where he gets sprayed by a skunk and he's in the bathroom, and there's that girl that he's always hooking up with she's like, what is this? And he's like, he has this little like comic book thing that he's from like a local artist that kind of is in on this conspiracy and ends up getting killed. Doesn't spoil
because he wasn't in on it. He just
found
out too much.
He just kind of found out too much. But it's kind of this idea of what if, like, there's so much advertising and there's so much going on in media and there's so much going on, you know, in subliminal messaging and so on and so forth, that it's crazy of us to think that there's not messages for people who are at a higher status than we are, where they're telling each other secrets in this secret code of right in the open. You know, it's like this movie's like, it's weird because it's all hidden right in plain sight, but it's just like this deep conspiracy of like the elites of Los Angeles, and you're just kind of like left with this like, it's just a good conspiracy and it's just told really well.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
My favorite part is definitely a songwriter.
Yeah, the song.
Like basically every hit song you've ever heard is a secret message written by one person.
Yeah. I know. I would say also that's probably the best part. I don't know. There's a lot of good parts.
That's a good part.
Pretty good
because you did that melody.
Pulls out the second gun.
Yeah. I definitely, when Trevor and I first moved to Los Angeles, when we first moved here to Los Angeles, I had seen the movie already, but I made Trevor watch it the first week we were here, mainly because they shoot a lot of it here in Los Angeles in Silver Lake, kind of near where we are. So it was cool to be able to be like, oh, I know where that's at. I know where that's at. I know where that's at. You know, and
we immediately started reenacting different.
We did.
So like you go to the Griffith Observatory and you got to rub Dean's head and wait under Newton
for the homeless king.
The homeless king. Yeah. Never found the homeless king.
I followed a couple wolves too. No. But hey, man, if you see a wolf, you follow the wolf. Yeah. You know,
the wolves know.
Yeah, you guys will understand if you watch it.
Watch it.
That's too good of one.
Yeah, definitely. If you don't like it, watch it another time. Give it a month or so, and then
if you don't like it, watch it till you like it. Because you
will like it eventually. If you don't like it, I'm telling you.
I think you will too, and I think it's actually Donnie Darko done better.
100%. That's exactly what it is.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's Donnie Darko.
It makes you can at least grasp what's going on in this, and be like, okay, it's weird, but I understand it. But
and Darko's
like, I cannot grasp the concept of.
And we love Gyllenhaal, and we love that Donnie Darko's, you know, set.
I like Donnie Darko.
I love it.
I do think a lot of what made that movie become a more cult classic is because it's
Nolan.
Just such a head trip.
You just can't grasp it.
It's Nolan.
You think so?
Nolan made that movie. He made that movie happen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so Nolan's the reason that movie got made, because he had seen, or he had gotten the script or something, and this was like young Nolan too. Like I think he only had Memento and whatever the second movie was.
Following?
The Following? Was that the second?
Following's his first.
The Following's his first feature length.
Following's his first.
But that's not
he made with a bunch of friends over the course of like a year, just shooting on weekends.
Right. Yeah.
And that was his jumping stone to Memento.
But then what after Memento? What was after the Memento?
I think The Dark Knight.
The Prestige.
No, The Prestige came out before The
Prestige
Dark Knight.
was in between the Dark Knight movies because he wanted to take a break so we could get reception
I don't think it was
on him to know
Batman
what direction
Begins,
to take.
No.
I don't think it was Batman Begins.
It was.
It was?
Yeah, he jumped right into it.
Batman Begins.
Memento, and then 5 years later, right into Batman Begins, and then The Prestige, and then Dark Knight, and then Inception, and then Dark Knight Rises. And Nolan's actually credited for story on Man of Steel.
Yeah, I did know that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But that being said, so I guess it really was just Memento and The Following. But anyway, he had, with Memento, you know, he had become kind of a big name just from that movie alone with a great
going
twist.
Straight to the Batman Begins after that.
But apparently, I guess the director of this movie was having a hard time getting this movie made, of Donnie Darko, and Nolan got a hold of some early script or something and loved it and pushed it forward. And actually, it wasn't just Nolan. It was Nolan, Drew Barrymore also really helped push it forward.
Yeah, she funded a lot of it too.
Actually, I think her production company funded the movie.
Yeah,
it was her production company that funded the movie, and it was not a box office success. It flopped in the box office, but after time passed, it definitely grew. Now, Under the Silver Lake, unfortunately, doesn't have the push that did behind Nolan and Drew Barrymore, but I think
it got made.
It got made, and it got made well. And I mean, it has some big actors, but I would say like the only really big
Andrew
one.
Garfield's the only.
Well, it has a young Sydney Sweeney.
For a second.
Yeah,
Sydney Sweeney actually Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
she's probably in this movie. She's probably in this movie about the same as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And this is obviously before she got big. But that being said,
and Jimmy Simpson.
Oh, and Jimmy Simpson is in it too. That's right.
But the only A-lister I would say is.
Yeah, and it's 2018 Andrew Garfield, so he's a fairly established actor at this point. You know, he's a fairly big name at this point, and I think on top of all the layers, I kudos to the director who wrote the movie as well, because my lord, what a great concept, story, execution. But man, watching this movie really makes you realize how good of an actor Andrew Garfield is, and I think that sometimes we forget that.
I don't.
Andrew Garfield is like
he's
top tier actor, man.
It wasn't even like the first time I watched the movie. It was on the second one that I caught. He's got like a little bit of a lisp going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that just, to me, was like yeah, it wasn't necessary and it wasn't pushed hard.
No, I know.
So, like, I didn't even really notice it at first, but it played into the character. Mm-hmm. It's just so subtle. And that's one of those things that just elevate all his characters. Those little tidbits.
What's this new A Real Pain? That's the new Jesse Eisenberg movie, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen it yet. But I've been watching Jesse Eisenberg is on a lot of tours right now promoting the movie, right? Mm-hmm. And it's him and Kieran Culkin. Do you guys think that Kieran Culkin is the same level actor as Andrew Garfield?
I'm not as familiar.
I am. I did watch a lot of Kieran Culkin stuff, and he's awesome in Succession. He's
both of them dated Emma Stone. That's why I ask.
Yeah. No, I don't know if he's in the same level. I think that people just like Kieran Culkin because he's like that no bullshit, like, hey, fuck you, man.
He's like he's like a Macaulay Culkin who's still cool.
Yeah. I don't think he's
and he's having a great run right now.
But he is a good.
Well,
actor,
I only asked this because I was watching an interview with Jesse Eisenberg, who was saying that Jesse Eisenberg wrote this movie and directed it, and he was trying to get it made for a long time, and it really was hard for him to get this movie made. So anyway, he gets Kieran Culkin cast in the movie, and about 2 weeks before they start production, Kieran Culkin's trying to drop out of the movie. And he's like, well, what are you doing, man? Like, the money's been spent. Like, you can't drop out of this movie. So anyways, Kieran Culkin obviously ends up doing the movie, but he said that Kieran would come to set every day and he'd be like, are you ready for your scenes? And he'd be like, what's the scene? And he'd be like, the scene with 5 pages of dialogue, and he's like, oh, can I take a look at it? And so he would look at it, and he would, he has this memory where he can just like sight read and just in his head, right?
Yeah, I've seen that in a couple interviews where he's even like been on sets with other actors, and he's like, they have this whole process where they'll spend days learning. I'll just show up and be like, oh yeah, I got it.
This is them real quick. He's got it. But he said, come to find out. So he said, I'm kind of at this point where I'm directing this movie, and I think this is Jesse Eisenberg's first directing. I think this is his directorial debut, right?
He did Vivarium.
I don't think he directed Vivarium. I'm going to look it up real quick. But that being said, I think that... so what he was saying, though, is he said, I'm kind of getting pissed off because I'm like, does he just not care about the movie? Or is it's just his process or what, And Jesse Eisenberg obviously really cares about this movie, He, I guess, come to find out, he was like staying up till like 3 a.m. every night in his hotel room, just like living the role, like the character by himself, but not letting anybody know. So he's like a real method actor who doesn't let anybody in on the fact. He's not pretentious.
Not, like, doing it like as a publicity thing.
He's
just
not
his method.
He's not a Jared Leto who's like sending people rats and
just condoms and stuff.
So he's method acting, but doing it behind closed doors, and then just acting like he doesn't. On top of that, he's layering it on by acting like he doesn't even care.
I think that Kieran Culkin has the great deflection, like tool that like Ryan Reynolds would have, where it just comes off as kind of being funny or kind of being cool, but it's just it's like an insecurity thing where you just like snap, and he's talked about it too, but it works for him.
It does.
It's funny, and I think that he has more range than Jesse Eisenberg. I think he's between the two of them.
You think so?
Yeah, I do like Jesse Eisenberg a lot, but I think that Kieran Culkin.
Okay, this is not his directorial debut. He did a movie in 2002 called "When You Finish Saving the World." Jesse Eisenberg. Saving the World.
You finished shaving the world.
You finished shaving.
He also wrote it, and it stars Julianne Moore and Finn Wolfhard, Billy Burke. But he did a short before that. So I guess this is like his first like big one that people would know about. But I think Andrew Garfield is a better actor than I don't really like Kieran Culkin personally. I don't really like the Culkins in general. Mm-hmm. I don't. I never really fell in love with him.
I had a problem with. I like Macaulay Culkin. Come on, dude.
I mean, young Macaulay Culkin. We love young Macaulay.
What's he doing now?
I mean, I think he's doing another movie.
Is he?
The only thing he did was that YouTube series.
Yeah.
Where he was older version of Kevin who became a serial killer, and it'd be great.
He did that?
Yeah. You ever seen that?
No. Is that real?
You should watch that. Yeah, it's a YouTube series that Macaulay Culkin did, and it's like funny. It's
I don't
it's like Kevin home aloneing people, but it's like serial killer home aloneing people, where he like sets up traps.
Macaulay Culkin
just found out he's really good at it, and he's like, you know what? I could just take it to the next level.
Yeah. He's like an erotic.
He was just in an episode of the second best hospital in the galaxy. I guess Macaulay Culkin. I guess.
Stuff.
He was in Fallout. I guess. He was cast. He's an actor in Fallout. Oh no, I take that back. He's going to be in season 2, episode 1. So he's going to be in the second season of Fallout.
But moving on to Under the Silver Lake.
After Under the Silver Lake,
we kind of took a break from watching them
for a while, and we just watched Under the Silver Lake a couple times. More than a couple.
Yeah, we just kind of hit that one a couple times. Yeah, and I think that the Serpent in the Rainbow is probably the next one.
The Serpent in the Rainbow, and kind of coming back full circle. There's a couple of different. Again, it's hard to name this genre. Like you have horror, and you have thriller, and you have comedy, like your basic genres, and then you can go a little bit deeper and you can get into like disaster movie, which I think is the greatest genre of movie ever made.
I still don't understand how you think it's the best.
It's the best. It's the greatest ride, and we don't have to get into that right now unless you want me to.
No, we don't have to right now. We'll save that for a different.
But then you got like disaster movies, and this kind of is in the same category as a disaster movie, where it's like a subgenre. And I don't really know what to call it, but there are a couple of elements that kind of always play into these movies that kind of give us the classification. And I think it's got to be a stellar like way too good of a cast or team behind the movie, and nobody talks about it, and it's got to fly under the radar like that. But I think
still be really good.
Well, that being said, I think I think there was a brief time in like the mid 80s where really anything John Carpenter or Wes Craven.
I think we're onto it.
I think we're really, really honing in on what it is, and I think it's John Carpenter and Wes Craven in the early
the big movies,
mid 80s. Yeah, where they were just doing filler movies. Wild.
And cherry on top is Sam Neill.
Yeah, and Sam Neill. Yes, exactly.
But I'm going to give a little preface to this, Serpent in the Rainbow. So Josh has actually been saying, I think since we watched In the Mouth of Madness, I found this one in Serpent in the Rainbow, And
I have.
He's like, Bill Pullman is the main character, and
Wes Craven movie.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
Wes Craven.
Wes Craven did Prince of
John Carpenter, and I'm like,
and it's about voodoo,
I'm like, no, I didn't know it was about voodoo. I just thought and it looked like a horror movie, kind of.
It is a horror movie.
Well,
it's classified as a horror movie, and it's not, but it's classified.
So I think 2 years later now, we finally, just like 2 weeks ago, we're like, all right, throw it on.
It was just the past week.
Last week.
It was like this week. We just watched it.
We
just watched it this past
week.
Like,
all right, let's throw it on, I guess. And it was because we listened to a podcast, and it was about an exorcist talking about
on
how he
Danny
had
Jones.
I
think it was on Danny Jones.
Yeah. He had gone to Haiti, and he's seen the serpent in the rainbow, the ritual, which is pretty much the ritual, a voodoo ritual, where they will pretty much drug somebody.
They drug them, bury them alive.
And then they are dead. They can't move, but they can actually see what's going on, and kind of they still are cognitive. But
and then they bury
move.
them.
They bury them for like 12 days or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they wake up and they can't remember anything. And I'm pretty sure there's a case where somebody was buried and forgot about.
I think they talk about it in the movie. I think at the end they give you like a
and pretty much they buried him, and he forgot about who he was and everything like that. And I think he spent 16 years as like a Haitian slave.
Yes, this is like a true story about this,
but that's not what happens in the movie.
So this is actually The Serpent and the Rainbow. There's actually a book about this that explores the rituals and belief of the Haitian voodoo. It came out in 1985, and it's about a guy named Wade Davis. And Davis was sent to Haiti by a pharmaceutical company to investigate the existence of a zombie drug, quote unquote. But he was the one who actually got.
He was never buried.
No,
Wayne Davis was never buried, I don't think. I think it was a different guy, but he was Bill Pullman's character.
So the script comes based on a nonfiction book of the same name, Wade Davis. So the movie's based on the book, and it looks like
there's no way that what happened at the end of the movie happened.
No, I mean I don't know. It depends on it depends on how supernatural how you believe. You know. If you believe in some mystic stuff,
this goes past mystics.
Listen, I don't really know much about, I don't really know much about voodoo personally, but
can they fly?
Well, can they also rip their head off and throw it at them?
Exploding head.
All right, I gotta finish the last 20 minutes.
Trev, you do. I think that's where.
So, anyways, Davis in the book, Davis recounts his experience in Haiti, investigating the story of one of the people there. His name was Clairvius Nices, who was allegedly poisoned, buried alive, and revived with a herbal brew, which produced what they call a zombie. So, this is a real thing in Haiti, voodoo, where they will drug you, bury you alive, and then revive you with this herb.
That's VOODOU, not the New Orleans VOODOO.
Yeah,
different.
It's true. It's Haitian voodoo,
yeah,
which I'm pretty sure Rihanna probably knows something about. It's
not Cajun. It's
Well, she's not from Haiti.
Is she from Barbados?
Yeah.
Is she? I thought she was from Haiti. She's not from Haiti?
No.
Oh, I don't know.
Is she not?
I think she's
I thought she was.
the Caribbean or something like that.
So in 1978, a Haitian man named Christophe mysteriously dies in a French missionary. Oh, this is the plot of the movie. Yeah, I don't. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, so pretty much what happens is Bill Pullman is like kind of like hired out by his company to go find this voodoo drug, and because they want to capitalize in America on zombification, I guess. Barbados.
Is she?
And so he's going to get sent over there. But the beginning of the movie, it starts where he's in some hut and
It feels like a Lost Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
100% when it starts off, that is Indiana Jones, his character.
It doesn't really give you any context to it. Besides, there's like an indigenous person and gives him a bowl and is like, drink it. And his pilot's like, don't drink that. He's like, whatever, drinks it.
He's like, I got things to do. I'm just going to drink this and leave. Like, no.
And the rest of the movie's like crazy.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is going on? And you think it's a horror movie, and then it becomes like a political drama.
Yeah, it does turn into a political drama.
For a little bit. And
then it turns into a superhero movie. Yeah, it's like, again, it takes you on a wild ride.
I think it gets less scary as the movie goes on.
And that's one of the things that another classification is. These movies have to take you on a wild ride where you're like, it's so bizarre that you have no idea what's coming next. Like, Memento is a movie where you're like, what's going on? I want to know the end of this movie because I want to solve the problem. This is, I don't even know what the problem is, but I want to solve it. That's what this genre kind of falls. Yeah. They're like, there's clearly a problem here, and I have no clue what it is. But it's so bizarre. It's kind of along the lines of what you would say if creatives had full creative power
And we're on acid.
To just do the most bizarre things they could think of, you know? Yeah. Now,
it's like
the fact
Megalopolis.
that... Like Megalopolis... I don't think Megalopolis falls in this. Megalopolis was hard to watch,
unfortunately. You gotta watch the last 20 minutes of Serpent and the Rainbow Man.
So again, this one, I would probably classify it as this genre, but I don't. 100%. I wouldn't classify the next one as this.
100%. This one is definitely part of the genre.
Yes,
because of alone the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
to the point where I fell asleep and Connor was watching it.
This one came out in.
Connor woke me up and said, "Dude, what the hell is going on in this movie?" Like,
yeah. Connor's one of our other roommates.
He went back and we had to rewatch the scene because I was like.
And this is 1988.
Wes the next day and he was raving about it. He's like, dude, you gotta finish it.
This is 1988 Wes Craven. So this is right after. I guess Nightmare on Elm Street came out right after this. No, I take that back. Nightmare on Elm Street 4 came out in 88. So it goes. Nightmare on Elm Street in 84. Yeah. So
at that point.
Yeah, he was a pro at that point.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yikes. So watch that movie and let me know what you think about the last 20 minutes of the movie because it's great.
I would also say that this one came out in 1988, so I feel like you could spoil it. I think enough time has elapsed.
Well, Trev, do you want to finish it or is it okay if I spoil it?
Go for it, spoil it.
All right, I'm just going to spoil it. All right, so pretty much he ends up having this crazy time and he gets the drug from a voodoo priest, or like actually he just runs a bar.
No, Nightmare on Elm Street was 84, so this was after that.
This guy runs a bar, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, here, like you can use this drug that I've been using, sure." And so he brings it. He tries to bring it back to America, but the Haitian president, is like, and who has gold teeth, by the way. Mm-hmm. It is like he's like a sleazy politician.
Well, it turns it turns into a political drama for a while because it talks about the corruption of Haiti.
Yeah,
for a good while it does.
And he's like, "Nah, you can't take that home, you know." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "You take that home, we're gonna have to keep you here and do stuff to you, you know." And he's like, "Okay,
do stuff to you." And
he gives him back the potion or whatever. But the guy, the voodooist guy, because he was saying that Bill Pullman's character is saying that if it ends up working and they end up getting rich off it, they're going to pay that guy and make him famous for being like the guy who found the drug. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, I want.
So he's got a lot of incentive to do it.
Yeah. So this guy slips another one somewhere past security, and so he pulls it out. And he's like, oh, nice. He slipped another one in my pocket. And so he goes home and he shows him it, but he had been cursed by the Haitian president.
Yes.
By a voodoo. And so he's back in a meeting like this, and one of the executives across the table jumps up and tries to kill him. And he's like, you know, and then pretty much, I don't remember how he got back. Somehow he gets back to Haiti.
Somehow he gets back to Haiti.
I know that. I think it was because they were like, you need to go, and
they send him back.
The company sends him back.
The company sends him back.
He also because
they're like, this is crazy, you know, and they're like, you got to go back, and I forget exactly.
Yeah, and also he wants to go back because he is cursed.
I won't forget how to lift it.
So he's trying to figure out how to lift it, and so he goes back, and he ends up getting the drug induced and getting buried.
They end up doing the
because
the Serpent and the Rainbow on him.
So the Haitian president's like, you gotta, you know, like you're getting buried now.
Yeah.
And so he gets buried, but he gets out of it because just watch the movie. He gets out of it somehow.
We don't want to spoil everything.
Yeah. And I just want to quickly say at the end of the movie, the climax fight is the Haitian president versus Bill Pullman in a voodoo superhero fight. To the point where they're like flying at each other. And like the Haitian president pulls off his head and throws it. It's like a pumpkin bomb. And Bill Pullman for like the first 10 minutes of the fight is like, what's going on? Or anything like that. And then by the end he masters voodoo.
Yes.
And he's like
pulls away.
And he literally is like stronger than the Haitian president. And he takes this electric chair and throws it and locks him in it. And he
it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's like, what? Does this really? I want to know. I want to know more about voodoo now, because is this really what voodoo is like?
I don't think so.
It might be, man. I always thought of voodoo. Whenever I thought of voodoo, I always thought of Scooby Doo.
That's voodoo. That's Cajun voodoo, not
where it's
voodoo.
Cajun voodoo, where you're just pinning the doll.
It's different. Voodoo, Haitian voodoo. I did some research after this movie. Haitian voodoo is an actual religion.
Oh, it's a religion.
It's a religion that is not. It's not, and it's the majority of people in Haiti, I believe, are, I think, either like Christian or this
Or voodoo.
but it's voodoo, like I was saying.
Okay.
Where they actually practice, and Cajun voodoo is a derivative of that voodoo. But that's just evil.
Would
Poking people.
Well, isn't it like one of those religions where it's only if you believe in it? So like you can't just curse random people.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Haitian voodoo believe in God.
I take it back. I actually have one more to add to this.
Haitian voodoo believing in Jesus and God, as a religion, as well. I think Haitian voodoo is fairly close to Christianity.
I just have one question: would Miss Ruby be voodoo?
No, that's Cajun
voodoo?
voodoo. That's Cajun voodoo.
Okay,
it's voodoo. And I don't think that. I think the big difference is that it's not, the Cajun voodoo is not a religious standpoint. It's just evil, or just like power. Dark power.
Understood.
Yeah,
It's crazy. Do your research on it.
pretty much.
Watch the movie. Let us know what you think.
What else you got?
I forgot one that fell in between Under the Silver Lake and Under the Serpent and the Rainbow, which would be The Pope's Exorcist.
Classic.
Oh, does that fall in it?
The Pope's
your favorite
Exorcist
in the
definitely falls in it.
Yeah, that's good.
Wait, are you saying does that fall in it? What are you kidding? Did you watch the movie?
Yeah.
Dude, that definitely
I
falls
didn't
in
know
it.
it fell under the radar that much.
Well, no, it's not that it fell under the radar. It's a newer movie, so I don't think it's. I think it's hard to tell whether it fell under the radar, because I think a lot of these movies came out in like the mid '90s, early '80s, mid '90s. You know, in that kind of time frame, except for House That Jack Built and
Under the Silver Lake.
Under the Silver Lake. But even those are over 5 years old. You know, and nobody talks about those. So I think the fact that this one came out so recently, people are going to talk. Maybe people talked about these movies when they first came out, but I wasn't around to watch when they first came out. But as the years have passed, they've kind of just faded into oblivion. So I feel like this movie is one of those ones that's going to fade into oblivion, although they are making a sequel. Which thank God they're making a sequel.
I'll tell you what. I think that I'll give it a pass on it being part of the genre because it is so outlandish from what you think it is.
Oh, it's
a wild ride
so,
for sure.
And
it's
I think the
outlandish.
wild ride aspect kind of keeps it at that level.
Yeah,
For
100%
being kind of a
100% it does.
it ends up being like Van Helsing. I remember we were in the theater
Yeah.
and Josh was like, I swear to God, if at the end they go into the
I
church
said-
basement
I
and they're
said-
like, I'm putting a team together.
Well, because this came. I mean,
I literally 10 minutes later walked downstairs. I'm putting a team together.
he's got an apprentice.
Get the gang
He's
together.
like, we're gonna need you. They pulled the whiteboard around, and there's a map of the world, and they're like, we're gonna send you here next. The Vatican's got like James Bond's, like, you know, it's so crazy, man.
Van Helsing.
But that one came out in 21, I think.
Something like
I think it came out in
21.
21. So that was kind of the height of Marvel too. So you know, that's why I was thinking it. I said, I swear to God, if they go down this
Putting a team
basement right
together.
now, we're putting a team together. And I was like, yes, they did it, dude.
I think the funny part about it is that he's not only based off a real person.
Yeah.
He's based off a very seriously well-respected person within the
Yeah,
Vatican.
the
And they
most
made
the
this
most
movie-
well-known exorcist. Literally
He's
the
most
Pope's
res-
exorcist. He's
yeah.
literally the Pope's exorcist.
He's the
or
most
was.
respected extras ever.
Yeah.
And
But the fact that he's cracking jokes the whole time, and I guess that's really how he was in real life.
really?
he was like
Yeah.
that. No, in
I
real
guess
life.
he was a guy who like did not take it serious. And in the movie, in the very beginning, he goes and does an exorcism, and he's sitting there, and they're like, the family's freaking out because this
baller.
the family's freaking out because he's like, they're like, oh my goodness, they're possessed. You gotta save them. You gotta help them. He pulls up a chair and he's like, why don't you go into that pig? You know, why don't you go in that pig? And then he has a shotgun, you know, to blow the
The
pig.
demon's like, I can go in that big.
Yeah.
Then do it.
Then do it.
He's like, I'm not going to do it. He's
Yeah.
like, then I guess you can't do it.
I guess you can't do it.
He's
So
like,
like he like taunts these demons, you know? It's crazy. It's absolutely bonkers, but I guess that's how he really was in real life. And these are fictionalized, but they're based off of his actual notebooks.
Yeah.
So these stories are based off of his actual notebooks. And but I guess he was kind of one of those guys who was like only 6% or whatever it is of exorcisms are true exorcism. Everything else is like psychological.
That's how it starts off too, where he's like, I basically just got to put on a show for people because they're wanting attention or this or that. He's like, it's not a real exorcism, but I still got to, do something.
Yeah.
I think that he has so many good lines in it.
And to be honest with you,
so many funny lines.
So many funny lines.
There's one part where the demons.
It felt like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
With an exorcism.
He comes in there and the demon's like, I'm gonna show you your biggest fears, and he's like, you're gonna make the Steelers win the World Series
Or whatever. No, it wasn't the Steelers. It was football. It was football. But yeah,
it's that's my biggest fear.
That's my biggest fear. No, it's not football. It's like soccer.
Yeah,
because he's European.
Yeah. No, I think it is American though. It's a baseball team, I think.
Is it? I don't remember. But the joke stands. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's wild. It's a great ride, and I think you don't know what's coming around the corner.
No,
so the fact that it turns
you go into the movie thinking you know what's gonna happen. You're like, oh, I know.
Right. It starts as a basic
exorcist. He's gonna exorcise people, and then it turns
into the Da Vinci Code.
Right. Yeah.
And then it turns into Endgame.
That's crazy.
And you're like, what? Like this dude was Nick Fury the whole time.
Dude, when they go out to the back of his car, he's got some shotguns.
I know.
He's like, drinks this. They take a swig.
He doesn't have a car. He has a moped.
Yeah. Moped, yeah.
He's got a moped.
He got a little Vespa, right?
Yeah, it's wild, man. It really is, and I think it's another one. So I think another classification is it has to have a good conspiracy. I think that's really one of the things is it has to have a good conspiracy. That's kind of a through line that I'm just kind of putting together.
Okay. I can get behind that.
And I guess the most recent one to watch that I wouldn't personally classify it as, and I don't know if you finished it.
So I can't.
Would you? So I don't think it is. So if we agree that it's not, we won't talk about it. But I want to hear Trev's thoughts on it because Trev and I finished it. Prince of Darkness. John Carpenter, Prince of Darkness. Wes Craven did. I just looked at that. Wes Craven. It was opposite. Yes. So Wes Craven did the Serpent and the Rainbow, and John Carpenter did Prince of Darkness.
I think it was really good.
Do you?
Yeah.
I thought it was the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. Ever seen it. I've watched The Room. I thought it was bad acting. I thought it was a fun concept. I thought it was a really, really creative concept. And I liked how they took the religious aspect of, Satan kind of coming back and putting mathematicians and biologists and physicists up against this, being like, we don't know what's going on. The math's not checking out,
Yeah, it definitely is a wild ride, so it checks off that box.
It stars Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
But I think that's really the only big name in the movie.
I think so. Which is weird because he had like a very oddly small part. He just kind of stood there.
Yeah, he was. I think he's not. His character name was Homeless Schizo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he just walks out and stays there.
And he's like the king of the homeless.
Yeah. I think one of the characters one of the main characters, the main biologist, is in The Thing.
The Thing? Is he?
I think so. I mean, he looks so familiar to The Thing, and I kind of
Prince of
corroborated it
Darkness.
Well, John Carpenter movies.
Yeah, what's it rated?
It's rated a 6.7. That's why we watched it.
Okay, so it hits the rating.
It does hit the rating.
It's a wild ride. There's conspiracy stuff going on.
Written and directed by John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Alice Cooper is like the only well-known name in it, though. James, let's see what this guy's in. No, Jackal. Oh, he's in the original Jackals. I take it back. Okay, so I guess Donald Pleasance is somebody that people would probably know. He's in Halloween, but he's in a lot of older. Like I guess he's in a pretty big actor in a lot of older movies, like that. So maybe just today's kind of crowd wouldn't necessarily know. If you were to watch this and you were probably under the age of 30, you wouldn't really know anybody in this movie.
There's a lot of slasher fans that are younger though.
There's probably
I would know him like his face, not his probably his bio.
Yeah, exactly.
Like his bio.
I wouldn't say he's
as an actor.
He's Sam Loomis in the Halloween series, which I don't even know who that is honestly, but yeah, I don't know. I think all in all, bad special effects. I think all in all,
yeah, but that works.
Wild story. Actually, yeah,
There's
wild.
another one where like towards the end, you guys had all passed out. It was just me and Connor. We were just going back and forth like, oh.
It's honestly some of the worst acting I've ever seen. The black guy who gets possessed, and I don't know if it was his choice or whose, but like he's the only one who's like finds it like there's a lot of people who get possessed in this movie.
Yeah.
But they're all just standing there stoically and like ominously, whenever they're on screen.
Him.
But the black guy, for some reason, he thinks that he needs to go full Joker, and he's like the entire time he's on screen. He goes crazy with it, and I just bad acting choice, bad script. Fun story, but even like the Asian guy is like bad jokes.
Oh yeah,
such bad jokes.
He's just like playing some classic douchebag.
Yeah, not even good. I wouldn't even say it was like good effects either for John Carpenter. And I mean, I think John Carpenter, does a lot of pretty solid effects. But this one came out in 1987, and I think let's see here. This would have been 87, would have been after Halloween, obviously, after The Fog, after Dark Star, after Escape from New York. So, I mean, there's like...
early.
Dark Star's early.
Like first movie early.
Yeah. But that being said, John Carpenter is a well-known name by this point, and that's like...
He is, in fact, John Carpenter at this point.
And the thing is this one truly is a cult classic where a lot of people regard this movie as a good movie, but there's a lot of people who regard this movie as a really bad movie too. And I'm one of those people.
No, it was really good.
I'll binge it.
I actually think They Live is better than this. Did you ever see that They Live? No, I haven't seen That's the one with Roddy Piper, the wrestler.
Yeah.
He's the main character, Roddy Piper, and it's They Live is where aliens take over the world, but it's kind of like Under the Silver Lake, where it's like there's two classes there's real people and then there's people who are possessed by these aliens.
They don't know.
And they don't know because they look everything on the surface level looks. But the Roddy Piper gets these glasses, and when you put these glasses on, you can see the real thing. So it's like a billboard. You're looking at a billboard.
Oh,
there's a lot of memes about it right now because it's all about subliminal messaging. And then so it's like him versus this entire race of aliens.
Also reminds me of like the Peacemaker.
Yeah, a little bit like Peacemaker too.
Yeah, taking over.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
a wrestler fighting a bunch of aliens.
Yeah, a wrestler fighting aliens.
Yeah, actually, that's
he's got the extra helmet so he can see which one.
Sometimes I forget John Cena was a wrestler or is a wrestler still.
Oh, he's still doing it.
Yeah, he still does it. He still goes back. I think he still goes back though every now and then. Like The Rock still goes back.
He does go back. He does, but he was up until like 2019. He was like regular also while doing acting. He was a regular on Raw.
But I think him and The Rock still will go back every now and then. I know The Rock does. Events, I know The Rock does for sure.
But The Rock's not a
out of those wrestlers though. John Cena's the best actor
and the best wrestler.
Yeah, I agree.
I haven't seen that much wrestling.
I think The Rock. I was
riding the South Shore once up to Chicago, and it's like a 40-minute train ride, and someone's just playing John Cena's dun dun dun, dun the theme song the entire time. I can't see me.
Dude, John Cena was a force to be reckoned with as a wrestler.
I was gonna say out of the actor or the wrestler turned actors, John Cena definitely has the most.
Whoa. What do you think
behind him for being actually good?
Oh, I agree. I actually think that he shines.
He held the title the longest between him and Batista and The Rock, and he has the best stats.
I think he does. And to be honest with you, I actually think he has the best movies too.
He's the funniest one by far.
He's the funniest, and I think he's the best actor.
I think he's the best actor.
I'm excited to see Daddy's Home 2 now.
What?
We watched Daddy's Home 2.
We watched Daddy's Home 2.
I watched the second one.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
He's not into that much.
No, he's about the same as the first one.
I think probably 10
he was in for 2 seconds in the first one.
It was probably 10 more minutes.
Yeah,
he comes in the last like 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
He's not.
All right.
But I do think that he's the best. But I think I'm excited to see this new one that The Rock is in because he's playing a wrestler, but he actually is putting prosthetics on his face. And as we know, The Rock has created his own genre of movies, which are arguably not good. They're fun, but they're not good.
Well, it's weird because I think that all three of these, out of the three big like wrestler actors, Batista, The Rock, and John Cena, they all took divergence different ways.
It's funny because they all started the same way.
Yeah.
They all started as meatheads who were just playing like Conan or Marines or some war movie, you know,
WWE funded movies.
Yes. Yeah. No, because there are WWE funded movies with actual wrestlers. Like The Undertaker has a movie.
But they were definitely like the go-to meatheads, like military and stuff.
Military
like
stuff.
Psych when John Cena shows up.
I mean,
Juliet's military brother.
That's what I mean. You got I think John Cena's first movie is like big movie is The Marine, which is really good actually. I shouldn't say really good, but it's good. And then you got The Rock, who's like usually some sort of ex, you know,
Scorpion King.
Well, Scorpion King would have been his first movie, but The Mummy 2, yes, as the Scorpion King, and then the Scorpion King.
Movie. That's a great movie.
But, you know, going after that, you know, you've got The Rock's doing things like, what is it? Gridhouse?
The Rock?
Yeah.
Like early on?
Early on, where he's playing like this ex-military, in prison brute, and he plays that character a lot.
It was, what's that one with Michael Murray?
I don't even know who Sean Michael Murray is.
Yeah, you do. Stifler.
Yeah, I know who he is. I'm just joking. Let's see. So The Rock's, obviously the first Rock acting would have been, I think, like we said, it would
Road Ahead.
But
what is it called?
What are you talking about? Can't say that on this podcast.
Road Ahead.
I don't know what streaming service you're using to watch movies, but it's
No
not the one.
No idea. The Mummy Returns is his first big movie, and then Scorpion King, and then he went back to wrestling for a while. The Rundown, that's the one I'm thinking about. Is that the one you're thinking about?
Yeah, Rundown. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. The Rundown. That's his second movie after that. And then he's got Walking Tall, and he plays these like, you know, ex-military kind of like guys who are like back in civilized world, but they're like,
but they're still trying to play the hero.
But they're still like this big old hero brute.
B-rated Rambo.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they
Rambo and Suburbia.
They're way too overskilled to be.
Yeah.
And then some guys are like, some sleazy guys are like,
yeah,
I got you. Take this at the barge.
He's first blood.
Yeah, right.
He's like, I was ex-military.
And I think they all started like that, but you know, and they've all kind of diverged, and they all have had different paths. And I think the fact that, you know, John Cena has found a route in true comedy is fantastic because he is good. Absolutely hilarious.
Well, John Cena went for like straight comedy. The Rock
created his own genre.
Yes.
And Bautista's trying too hard.
Tries to be a good actor.
Yeah.
But you can't see anything but Batista.
Yeah. He wants to be like a respected actor. So he's like,
well, now he does. After Drax, now he lost all of his weight, and now he's like, because nobody would hire me as this big beefy guy, which is so funny because somehow John Cena keeps getting cast in like various different roles. He's in comedies, he's in action movies, you know, I don't think he's done drama yet, maybe not. But you know, even though he's stereotyped as this, and the dude's a gorilla, you know.
Yeah,
the dude's a gorilla, but I think that he makes it work somehow, where he's still an in-demand actor, but able to keep his physique. Whereas Bautista now wants to he lost all of his weight and wants to be a respected actor, but I don't know if he's got the chops. I think that he might have actually just killed his career because that's kind of what he was. He was a big guy, you know.
I mean, everyone loves him.
I give it to him for trying.
See. Yeah,
everyone loves him.
I hope he pulls it off. I don't know if he will, but I hope so.
Let's see what he has in the works.
Everyone loves him as Drax, but if you think about it, also,
everybody does love him
then
as Drax. But he was in Blade Runner as well.
That's it. I was getting to Blade Runner 2049. You can't see anything but Bautista with small glasses on.
You really can't.
And so you're like, just. He looks like a super mutant from Fallout.
And the funny thing is, you know, he wanted to be in a world of superhero movies. He really wanted to be Bane. Yeah. And he's like the perfect casting for Bane. Which now he could have been Bane, you know, especially because he's got such rich ties to James Gunn, and James Gunn's going to need a Bane. but he lost all of his weight.
Yeah,
but he can get it back.
He can get it back, but
he would be a great Bane.
But I think he doesn't want to do it at this point. I remember I was listening to something where he was saying
that's a bad movie as well.
Well, he also started requesting less shirtless scenes and stuff. He's like, I'm getting old. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't look the same, even if I'm still ripped. He's like, it's just I want to just actually act and not just be on screen to be that beefy dude.
Yeah, he was born in 1969.
Maybe he's getting small so that he can be Bane pre-Venom.
Yeah.
And then there's
the CGI everything else.
Because he's going to be bigger than...
So this year he has a movie called Afterburn coming out by J.J. Perry. And I don't know what that is. It's a sci-fi comedy starring Bautista and Samuel L. Jackson. Nice. And J.J. Perry did the John Wick 2, Warrior. He actually did The Rundown. Maybe he's known for stunts on these. He's a stunt coordinator, but I guess he's directing this movie. And then now he's also got this year coming out In the Lost Lands, which is a Paul W.S. Anderson movie. And he's the guy who did Event Horizon and Death Race.
What a full circle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a dark fantasy action adventure fantasy. And that's going to be Mila Jovovich, Dave Bautista, and some other people as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice guest.
Well,
we'll see.
Yeah. Off that divergence.
Let's go and recap real quick. So we've got our list of movies would be Dreamcatcher, which Stephen King. We've got In the Mouth of Madness. We've got... What was after that again?
Is this order you've seen them? Or
no, we're just talking about the list of order again. So we've got Dreamcatcher, In the Mouth of Madness.
Calm would probably
Dead Calm was right there. And then we went...
You should watch Frailty.
And then it would...
Counts.
I do. It
Under
does.
the Silver Lake.
No, because it went into Fallen, Under the Silver Lake.
What would we count that? Okay, fine.
Under the Silver Lake, Pope's Exorcist. Serpent and the Rainbow, and Prince of Darkness. But if you want to get to that one, you don't have to if you don't want to.
I think you should.
Yeah, and I'm gonna post all this stuff on social media so you can follow along. And anytime I find another one, I'll post it. And again, if you guys want me to find you guys a bad horror movie that's good with your favorite A-list actor, I will find it.
He's also, good. I do it to him all the time.
They do.
He'll come back next time with something from Chris.
They
Pratt.
all do horror. I will.
Please, if you have the criteria that we laid out, so.
Oh, I'm begging you because we need more movies.
Yeah.
Yes, please, because we're always looking. We can't find them. It takes a long. It's like research. I have to sit down and do an hour.
A couple of these we have had to do some actual deep diving to be like, I don't think it fits. Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for listening to episode 1 of season 2 of Pink Moose Film Lodge podcast. I hope you guys like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week with a featured guest.
Stay tuned.
Bye now.